Hi, my name is Willie Lawson, and this is the morning report for Monday, the 21st of June. I hope that you are well, had a great weekend. I hope you had a great Father's Day. If you're a father, I hope you had a great Father's Day. I did. It was great. I pretty much did what I wanted to do. Wife took me to breakfast, and I took her to my secret smile spot, which is the Tampa Executive Airport, actually, so I could see planes, and there was some. I was so geeked out. In one of the hangars, it was 2 TBMs, and if you know what those are, then you're like, dang, really? Yes, it was very cool. It was super, super cool. Anyway, good times, and basically got to work on this, in the late hours of the morning, or the early hours of the morning, like, I don't know what time it's like 12:30. So we're going to get this ready for you to get out to you first thing in the morning. So again, thank you again for tuning into the Morning Report. Our first story today is that DeSantis is winning, and he continues to win. The story came out, I guess, Friday. Let me get the story up on my computer here. There it is. This is a Florida judge blocks the CDC from enforcing rules concerning ships in Florida. Now, you have to excuse me. I'm not sure when the CDC became a regulatory agency that could impose laws and regulations to stop commerce. I'm not sure when that happened. So someone will have to explain to me, write down in the comments or whatever, when that happened. I'm just not sure when it happened. It seems to me that the CDC, or which is the Center for Disease Control, is an organization that advises other organizations what to do based on solid science. But apparently not. Apparently they've overstepped their boundaries. The decision was a victory for Florida, which had argued that the rules were crippling the cruise industry and causing the state to lose hundreds of millions of dollars in income. A federal judge ruled on Friday that beginning July 18th, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention will no longer be allowed to enforce its rules intended to prevent the spread of coronavirus on cruise ships in Florida. In his ruling, the judge Stephen Meriday of U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Florida granted Florida's request for a preliminary injunction blocking the CDC from enforcing the rules in Florida ports, finding that they were based on stale data and failed to take into account the prevalence of effective vaccines. To just, and I'm okay, that's fine, but I'm not sure when they got to do that. When the CDC got to shut down industries. When did they get the authority, and where does that authority come from? We need to find out. We need to talk about it. We need to research it. Where did the CDC, because the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, get the power to shut down industries? I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that that's not what they were supposed to be doing to start with, because they're not the CDC is sketchy to start with because it's not a full government agency, so it's sketchy to start with. So that's why I'm saying, well, wait, how do they get the power to do this? Anyway, they were. The judge said beginning July 18th, the rules will persist as only a non-binding consideration, recommendation, or guideline, which is what they should have been to start with. The same tools used by the CDC when addressing practices in other similarly situated industries such as airlines, railroads, hotels, casinos, sports venues, buses, subways, and others. They're guidelines. Theme parks. Like the CDC can't decide. Theme parks can't open. It's completely overstepping their boundaries. So if they couldn't decide with all the things I just mentioned, how do they decide with cruise ships? How is that a law or a regulation that the cruise industry had to follow? The ruling was a victory for Florida, a cruise industry hub that had challenged the rules in April, arguing they were crippling the industry and causing the state to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. Judge Merriday said that more than 13 million cruise passengers and cruise members had embarked and disembarked in Florida and patronized Florida's businesses in 2019. Florida also argued that the CDC had exceeded its authority and had acted arbitrarily and capriciously when it issued the rules last year. Today's ruling is a victory for hardworking Floridians whose livelihood depend on the cruise industry, the state attorney general Ashley Moody said in a statement. The federal government does not, nor should it ever have the authority to single out and lock down an entire industry indefinitely. Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida called the ruling a victory for Florida families, for the cruise industry, and for every state that wants to preserve its right to face an unprecedented federal overreach. The CDC has been wrong all along. And they knew it, he said in a statement. The CDC did not immediately respond to a request for comment on Friday night. In its ruling, Judge Merriday gave the agency until July 2nd to propose a narrower injunction that would allow cruise ships to sail in a timely fashion. So Judge Merriday sort of threw a bone to the CDC and said, if y'all can come up with something by July 2nd. At issue in the lawsuit filed by Florida in April was a conditional sailing order issued by the CDC that went into effect October 30th and sought to safely reopen the cruise industry under a 4-phase framework after months in which the cruise ships remained docked at ports. Phase 1 required the cruise ships operated to build a laboratory upon each vessel, testing crew members. In Phase 2, operators were required to take each cruise ship on a simulated voyage intended to evaluate the operators' onboard COVID mitigation measures. Now, they wanted them to build a lab and then take every ship on a voyage with no guests, no passengers. That's millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. It's not cheap. It's not cheap to take an empty cruise ship and move it across the planet. First of all, it's foolish. Foolish. So they could look at their COVID mitigation procedures. Phase 3 would require a conditional sailing certificate from the CDC. From the CDC, I don't understand. Again, we're back to what we started with. How does the CDC decide that they get to decide how this industry operates? There's a massive overreach here, it seems. In Phase 4, operators were allowed, quote, restricted passenger voyages under certain conditions, including a 7-day limit on the length of each voyage. So, they're not only telling them when, but how they can behave. I'm not sure when they became a cruise ship regulatory commission. I'm not sure when that is. The CDC had argued that imposing the rules fell within its authority and that the rules were based on reasoned decision-making and reasonable conclusions, especially given the extraordinary deference that the agency was given during the pandemic health emergency. Yes, they were allowed to run crazy. And they thought, hell, we've been running crazy. Can't we continue to run crazy? Well, Governor DeSantis said no. No, they shouldn't be allowed to continue to run crazy. And Judge Merriday said the very same thing. Judge Merriday, however, wrote that COVID no longer threatens the public health to the same extent presented at the start of the pandemic or when the CDC issued conditional sailing order. In fact, CDC's conditional sailing order relies on stale data obtained to justify the no-sail orders when the danger posed by COVID-19 was quantitatively different from today, Judge Merriday wrote. Conversely, Florida's injury and the injury to Florida's economy grows by the day. Judge Merriday wrote that cruise ships now safely sail all over the world with protocols designed to minimize the spread of COVID-19. Since July 2020, he wrote, more than 400,000 people have sailed on cruises abroad. In Europe, he wrote, thousands sail on cruises without debilitating infections of COVID-19. So a lot of us didn't realize that cruises are going on all over the world, but not here. Huh. And the availability of vaccines and testing and comparatively trivial incidents of infection on foreign cruises, all quickly identified and confined. Commends optimism about the safe operation of sailing in the United States, which enjoys high rates of vaccination and greatly enhanced onboard containment mechanisms, he wrote. So Florida wins again. We just keep winning. We just keep winning. We just keep winning. All right, folks, we'll be back with more of the Morning Report right after these messages. Thanks for hanging out. Well, hey everybody, my name is Willie Lawson, and you guys know that I do a lot of stuff on the internet, and you may think with what's happening on Twitter and what's happening on Facebook and what happened to Parler that the mainstream social media sources are really trying to rid themselves of conservative voices, and you'd be right, they most certainly are. But you know what? It isn't as bad as you think it is. It's worse. But there are people who are willing to be platformed for free speech. One of those places is freedomforum.website. Freedomforum.website. You can go there and speak your mind. So come join us. Enjoy the freedom. Enjoy the fun. If you are a true blue conservative, small businesses are near and dear to your heart. They are the lifeblood of our life and economy. I believe this, and that's why my florist is not a website or phone number. My florist is Bloomingdale's Flower Shop, Tampa's premier flower shop. At 11618 North Florida Avenue here in Tampa, Florida, and at 6835 State Road 54 in Newport Richey. Call Christine at 813-933-1942 and at 727-232-6900. She can also be reached on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. One of the things that I get asked most is where can I get information that is not tainted with liberal bias, especially here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, now I have the answer. tbctampa.com, a website by and for Tampa area conservatives. Tampa's leading conservative voices speak freely at tbctampa.com. And you can too. So join the fun and enjoy the freedom at tbctampa.com. My name is Willie Lawson, and this is the Morning Report. All right, welcome back. Saturday was June 19th, and June 19th is Juneteenth, and has been Juneteenth for a very long time. It's been celebrated in 45 states across the nation, and it's always interesting when I mention Juneteenth to people, anybody really. They always ask me, well, what's that? I don't know what that's all about. And we always have to explain it in very simple terms. It has to do when the word got to slaves or people in Galveston, Texas, that the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed. As a matter of fact, it had been signed 2.5 years previous, and that slavery had officially ended in the country because the proclamation emancipation had been signed. So the slaves were free. Now, slavery as a thing was ended by amendment, 13th Amendment, and I understand that. But basically, the moment where the last vestiges of slavery found out that what they were doing had ended by presidential decree, that's what they celebrate. That's what we celebrate as Juneteenth. Now, I know that there are particulars and peculiarities, and there's context and nuance about all of this. I understand. But Democrats have made, and Joe Biden have made Juneteenth a national holiday. Now, and that's going to be on the 19th of every year, June 19th of every year. Now, this year wasn't really a big deal. Why? Because Juneteenth fell on a Saturday. People were already off. And maybe they'll get that Friday off beforehand. And there were some congressional offices that were closed on the 19th. And next year, I think more federal offices will be closed on the 19th. Businesses probably will close. There'll be Juneteenth sales at retail stores, all that stuff. There'll be Juneteenth marches, and there have already been Juneteenth marches and celebrations and the like. My concern is that because now we have a situation where we had actually many years, we had 4 years at least, that Juneteenth could have been a national holiday, and that would have been put in by Republicans as opposed to crazy socialist leftists. And now this celebration, this time, is I fear, going to be tainted. I've already seen what I think is incorrect imagery attached to Juneteenth. And what I mean by that, I've seen the socialist fist, because people don't know what that imagery is. And I think I'm showing it. I think I'm editing the video to where you can see the fist I'm talking about. And let's see the time at 3:46. Okay, that we've seen that imagery, and it's going, and the Juneteenth celebration may be appropriated by things that are incorrect. It is and should be a celebration of America, the United States, finally getting it right. One of the few countries that had slavery in its founding and actually got rid of it. As a matter of fact, other places in the world, including England, had slavery, indentured servitude or whatever, and basically got rid of it after the United States did. The United States was leading the pack in the abolition of slavery. It is something to be celebrated. It is something to be acknowledged for sure. It bothers me greatly that those of us who were in support of the abolitionists, the political party that was founded in abolition, did not act on this much sooner. Republicans in general failed on this. I mean, through my entire life, Reagan, the Bushes, yes, and Donald Trump too. Yes, Joe Ford. Republicans in general failed on this. And basically, and you guys have to understand, especially now, especially in today's climate, we're talking about what would have been a fabulous marketing point. And what do I mean by marketing point? I mean that when people go into inner city neighborhoods, a lot of times Republicans and conservatives will talk about taxes and those kind of things, taxes especially, to a segment of the population because of income and because of poverty and because of any number of circumstances. Further down the line on their list of what's important are federal income taxes. Because a lot of people in the inner city, quite frankly, pay so little, if any, federal income tax. Connecting that to their everyday situation or getting them something excited about is not it. It's not it. Juneteenth holiday, not because it's a day off, but because it shows that it's easy connection, showing Republicans caring about civil rights. Easy. Low-hanging fruit. It's like hitting a piñata with an aluminum softball bat. It was easy. Missed it. Didn't even swing the bat. So many people were encouraging Republicans, especially in the past 4 years, during the Trump administration, to do just that. Trump had made great inroads in the inner city with the black community in America. Had done very well. It would have simply been the icing on the cake that Juneteenth, as a federal holiday, would have been instituted by Republicans, a Republican Congress at some point, and a Republican president. How appropriate that would have been. It didn't happen. And now, again, my apprehension is that Juneteenth is going to be appropriated for reasons that it was never intended to. Completely blurring and blocking out the real cause, the real reason, the real celebration, why it's a good thing, with other political agenda, Marxist agenda being attached to this great event, to this great American event, to this great Republican American event. That's why this is bittersweet for me. We'll do that. I promise you guys, we'll do more. We'll talk about this more. We will. Happy Juneteenth. I hope that your Juneteenth was good. I hope that it's funny. I got a text or a Facebook IM from somebody, one of the politicos around here, thanking me for exposing them to Juneteenth a long time ago. It was 11 years ago. 11 years ago. I was a member of the African American Republican Club of Hillsborough County, and we had a Juneteenth, something as simple as a Juneteenth luncheon. It's a luncheon. Now, a lot of people wanted to get black people there at that luncheon because that wasn't my cause. I wanted to educate white Republicans at the time that this was a time for Republicans to celebrate. This was a victory in time for Republicans. There had not been Republicans before. There had not been a Republican Party before. Before Lincoln, he was the father of the party. So this was a great time. Something you could grab onto that was real, that was documented. Yes, all of you who are super scholars, yes, I know that it was just when they finally got to Galveston 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. I know it was the 13th Amendment. I know. But this was an important event that we could celebrate, that we could mark it, that we could make a Republican holiday. Frankly, it was the Democrats in the country that developed a need for it. And we didn't make it. We blew it. Now, some of you aren't happy with the fact that I'm saying that, although there were attempts by some people. Failure is failure. I wrote to someone earlier this evening, this is not T-ball. This is real life. It's not T-ball. Where trying is enough. Must accomplish. This is the real deal. Happy Juneteenth. Till we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. Check us out on fightbackmediatv.com, fightbackmediatv.com, fightbackmediatv.com. Check us out. Tell your friends. Send the link far and wide. I'm watching the website. And I want the website to be seen all over the world. All over the world. Because it's important that the truth get out on no uncertain terms. We're doing Fight Back Media TV because God bless the child that has his own. Again, until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody. For goodness sake, I'll take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.